want you to focus today, if you want to, on the concept that you are walking around all day, every day, establishing a foundation or a point of attraction, a sort of grid that will fill in. The grid, a grid. So as we're talking to you today about this point of attraction, we're going to be asking you, what are you doing with your grid? What kind of a grid have you got going on? And we want you to come to recognize that when your grid is a vibrational match to the grid of who you are. Now, what do we mean by that? The source within you. Oh, you were born into this physical time-space reality with this powerful point of attraction. You are pure positive energy. You knew your value. You know your worthiness from that perspective. You knew the reason that you were coming into this experience. You were solid and steady and sure. You knew love. You were love. You are love. You loved. In other words, just such a solid, steady grid. Nothing had diverted you from it. You hadn't seen some injustice in the world, or no one had wronged you. No one had made you feel uncomfortable. You had not yet given your attention to those things that would cause you to offer a vibration that could cause some separation. So we just want to say to you, we're going to be saying it a lot, that whatever you're focused upon has you establishing a grid. And the longer you focus upon it, the more established that grid becomes. So you could have, for example, a grid that you come easily to relative to finances. In other words, every subject is two subjects, what is wanted and absence of what is wanted. And sometimes you think that you're focused completely upon the financial well-being that you want, but when you're noticing what you can't do with the money you don't have, that's not the end of the stick that you're focused upon. So without even meaning to, you're establishing a grid, a vibrational basis that says, I don't have enough money. In fact, I hardly know anybody who has enough money. In fact, there's a big injustice in this world today about not enough money. And you get a grid like that going, and law of attraction will bring you evidence of that until you'll say, well, it's true. I wouldn't be saying it if it were not true. And we say, it is your attention to it that makes it true for you, you see. And that's a hard thing because you're running around, you're in individual bodies, you're sitting on individual clumps, on individual chairs, and you don't realize how interconnected you are with one another. But when you give your attention to what masses are doing, when you give your attention to what a political party is doing or what a religion is doing, when you give your attention to anything, in doing so, you establish a vibrational pattern which becomes your point of attraction. And all of that is a wonderful thing. It's part of why you came into this time-space reality. You want to take thought beyond that which it has been before, and you want to be joyful in the process of it. But so many of our human friends have forgotten, it seems, that there is a standard within them that will help them to know. It is a guidance system that is unequivocally accurate at all times. There's a guidance system within you that will help you to know in any moment of any day, whenever you are focused upon anything, how that focus, how that attention, how that perspective, how that opinion, how that belief meshes with the whole of who you are and what you really want. And you can tell by the way you feel. Once you get the hang of this, you're going to start caring about how you feel. You're going to begin to care about how you feel enough that you're going to be able to let how you feel guide you incrementally to more habits of thought which establish more grids that are more in alignment with who you are. If you've been listening to us for a while, you've been hearing us say that when you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, that all things go more powerfully the way you want them. You've been hearing us say that one who's connected to the stream or to the flow, or one who is in alignment with who you really are, is more powerful than millions who are not. And what we're really talking about is you finding somehow, some way to line up more and more and more with that core grid that beams up through you, that grid of love and well-being and prosperity and vitality and energy. And it's when you feel frisky. It's when you feel alive. It's when you feel your passion. It's when you are full of who you are. It's when you are tuned in to the vibrational, expanded most beingness of that which you are. So you got to ask, well, if I was all of that before I came, tell me again why? Why did I agree to come into this body and expose myself to this? You call it variety, Abraham. You call it contrast. I call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. In other words, tell me again, did I really agree to come into this environment? We say, yes, you did, because you knew that in the exploration of the contrast that you could come to eternal, never-ended new perspectives of value, perspectives of goodness, perspectives of advancement, perspectives of expansion. You know that you are an eternal being, and you wanted the exposure to the variety that would help you and all of us to expand. One of the things that our physical friends most often misunderstand is that you are the leading edge of all that we are. You are the leading edge out here exploring pioneers, exploring variety, and coming to powerful, important new conclusions. But what goes wrong for you from your perspective is that often life causes you to know that you want something. You want more love in the world. You want more well-being. You want all of the children to be eating. You want the world to be a better feeling place for not just you, but more people. You want that. But you focus upon the opposite of that. It's like the contrast helps you to expand, but you don't go with the expansion because you feel obligated to tell it like it is. To focus upon the what is, to be real, to be accurate, to tell the truth of things. And we want you to understand that there is a truth that you can reach for that is always wrapped around well-being. That when you begin reaching for that, the universe will reflect back to you. Our new way of saying it is your grid will fill in with the evidence of whatever truth it is that you've decided to make your pattern of thought, your habit of thought. So what so many of our human friends do not understand is that you're out here on the leading edge and you're carving it out and you're asking for the new expansion. And when you do, we all go right to it. We experience the ecstasy of the new creation that you have carved out. And then, and this is the most important part for you, we hold steady to that vibration of that expansion, offering a signal that is so strong and so steady that when you get somewhere in the vicinity of it, you're going to feel your relationship with it. You're going to feel your relationship with that signal. If you feel awful, you understand your relationship with the signal. It's beaming one vibration, you're beaming another. It's pure positive energy, you're not. The analogy that we've enjoyed most over the years is if you imagine a cork floating up on the surface of the water, hold it under the water. That's what negative emotion is. Let go of it, it will bob right back up. So unless you're doing that thing you do that holds you apart from who you are, you're going to be right up to speed with all that you've become. And that's when you feel your best. Most of the time when there are things that are bothering you, so let's say you have those 10 things and one of them is going well and 9 of them are not. And as you focus on any of those 9, you use those as your excuse to create a grid that doesn't line up with this one, that doesn't allow the flow from the vortex in, that doesn't allow the grid to fill in with what you're wanting. But if you focus upon the one thing that feels good, even if you have to go general to do it, as you focus upon that one, now you create what kind of a grid? And when you create that kind of a grid, then you get movement on the other 9. That was big.
So,
in other words, on those CDs that we talked about that before,
yeah,
never this clear because we didn't apply the grid to the explanation.
Right.
Makes it easier, doesn't it? This is the whole process of this. You started with such a wonderful conversation because you pointed out a real life experience for you, and words don't teach, it's only life experience that teaches anyway. So you just taught yourself and all of us something valuable when you said, I ask a question, and you didn't say this, to which I didn't think I had the answer. But in anticipating coming to a gathering, I began to cry, which was evidence of the release of resistance. So this is the same sort of thing that you're talking about. You're just looking for ways to release the resistance. And don't try too hard.
Okay.
You see, we're going to give you something here, all of you, but this is really specific to what you're asking about, and you're really going to like it. Create in advance by prepaving more than trying to fix things that are broken. Because when you're trying to fix one of those 9 things that isn't going very well, you're off in the weeds.
Yeah.
When you're trying to fix one of those, you're usually trying to fill in your own grid from a vibrational stance that won't allow it to fill in the way you want it to. So you're just adding more power to the grid that you don't want.
Right.
Where if you will do what we have called prepaving, which is just imagine into the future. Imagine it being more the way you want it to be, but be really, really, really general. You see, you've just lost a little bit of confidence because you've been observing the what isness and it's got your attention. And now you've got a sort of cycle going because you've been observing it and offering a vibration about it, so you're getting more of it. And that's why you want to pronounce that most things aren't going well and very few of them are going well. But we want you to know that in all of this, that there's so much in your vortex that will fill in as you find some way somehow to just go general on everything that doesn't feel really good and be as specific as you can be on the things that do feel good. And then just prepave it. Do you know what we mean by that?
I do.
Start generally by saying things like, well, it will get better.
Right.
And if that puts a knot in your stomach because you don't believe it, then say, well, I know it's gotten better for some. And if that puts a knot in your stomach because you know it got better for them because you think they were doing something in a better way than you were, then say, I'm going to figure this out. Or I've been here before on some things and I did get a smoother ride eventually. Just keep talking until you give yourself that release. And as you find that release, then you know you've released resistance. But when we say we would prepave it, now that's the work that we're encouraging you to do when you're aware that you've got some resistance that you want to let go of. If we were standing in your physical shoes, we'd put ourselves in bed at night and we would say, I'm not going to think about this. I don't have to think about this. I'm just going to get a good night's sleep. And then do your best to sleep. And when you awaken in the morning, sit for 15 minutes with the intention of just quieting your mind and say to yourself, this is my process where I don't think of anything. And if I think of anything, I'll just breathe it away, but I'm not wanting to think of anything. This is my process where I'm just not going to think of anything. I'm just going to focus on my breathing. For 15 minutes, no big deal. I'm just going to relax. This is the beginning of my grid work. I'm just going to relax. I don't have to make anything happen. Everything's in the vortex. It's flowing to me in perfect order. I'm just working on my grid. This is the best I can do right here, right now. It's the best thing that I can do. And in doing this, I'm prepaving for future experience. Now, what's going to happen as soon as the first day that you do that, go to bed that night and wake up the next morning and sit to meditate and get into that quiet general place, the first day that you do that, your grid will fill in with something that you will associate with that small work that you've done. And your confidence will come right back. And as the grid fills in, what's going to happen is it's going to be perfect in this sense. It's not going to be more specific than you're allowing. But it might not be as specific as you think you want it to be. Did you hear that? It will never be more specific than you're allowing because the law of attraction won't allow that. So it won't be more specific than you're allowing, and it might not be as specific as you want it to be. But that's where you start doing your work. You don't go there. You don't try to fill it in. You don't try to hammer it into place. You don't try to wrestle it to the ground. You just say, hey, I did my work. This is all I need to do on this right now. Nothing more for me to do. Nothing more for me to do. I left it in the perfect place. And as the grid fills in with more specifics, then you can revel in that, you see. And before you know it, all 9 of those subjects, or however many of them they are, you'll have that little experience with them, and you'll just incrementally move every one of them to new and improved place, to new and improved place, until the manifestations will be so obvious that you will know for sure you've got the hang of this. We've enjoyed this interaction immensely.
Thank you so much.
It is delicious to come together with those like you who are out here on the leading edge, who are savoring the simplicity of your core grid. As you play with this just a little bit over the next few days, you're going to have the exhilarating experience of watching your grid fill in as confirmation of the knowledge that you have reconfirmed here. We haven't told you anything today that you didn't know the day you were born, but we have reminded you of some things that you have forgotten. So be playful about it. And most of all, don't worry about what anybody else is doing with their grid. Focus completely on your own, no matter how near and dear they are.